Success is harder than it seems, but also simpler than it looks. Welcome to the 4th episode of the School of Athens podcast. So it's officially month 1 of starting this podcast. So really excited for the future, and obviously the episodes we've done already, obviously bangers. So today's topic is going to be basically how to fix your life if you're in a rut, you're feeling like you're stuck. Obviously we all experience the exact same things at the start. I know Quinton and I was also going to chat about that, the struggles you face. And because I think everyone is, you think you're special, like you think you're facing this problem that just you can, that you need to solve, that's like very specific to you. But I can guarantee you, like, we all are facing the same problems.
And I think also looking back, like obviously it's our 4th episode now. We've been doing it for months now. The podcast game was new to us as well, and a month later, just by just continuing pursuing the goal, you get better. So we're always going to get better with time. And just like Andro also said, everybody thinks they're special and that they have their own unique problem that's
like you don't understand me.
But as I also came to realize now, working with different mentors in my field and being connected with some highly successful individuals in the space that I want to move into, I come to realize that we all share the same to an extent, the same journey towards the success. Everyone has the same type of goal, usually somehow faces the same problems, so just like Andro said with the quote in the beginning as well.
A good way to also sum it up, I think we can also talk about that we before this podcast we were thinking of topics, and like a week ago I thought like we should talk about the hero's journey. I think this also links very good with what this is, exactly what this is, like, is the hero's journey. So I think we can start just how we basically started. So it was 2022. I remember it vividly because that was literally like New Year, New Me. And people are like, oh, that's BS. That's exactly how I started. Like, because it's a new chapter, like you don't have to wait. But the thing is, it also gives you like this new calendar, like new start. It just works. But you don't have, let's say it's June, like it's literally June. Don't wait till next year if you like really want to start improving. But it just happened to be that time was like, okay, no, this is it. And it happened to fall on June 1st. So, January 1st. So then I started reading, I knew that I knew nothing.
This was 2020.
2022.
2022, okay.
Yeah. So, and then I started reading, started meditating as well. Journaling, I don't do that as much now. Just doing like the self-improvement habits, like the general stuff. And over, the few years, you'll realize, you get into new stuff. But I think we can definitely chat about that.
Yeah, I think looking back on my journey, I would say everything started back in matric. So this was quite a long time ago. It's like 2019, where I was supposed to study for a chemistry test, and it was literally the evening before that test, and I came across, and I've not read any books yet, like self-development books. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, there's a lot of books at the back here, because I literally controlled all my inputs and I just dived into all these mentors and philosophers and stuff to just improve my the way I think and my paradigms and stuff. But in any case, so the first ever book I've ever read came from watching a motivational video of me trying to psych myself up to study science the day before the time when I haven't even started. You guys might not believe me, but I watched a video about Jay Shetty. And Robin Sharma, and he was talking about, I don't know, like some mindset type of stuff. And the day after that, I literally went and bought his book. I thought I was going to become a monk in the Himalayan berg in India for like my gap year in 2020. But in any case, so that sort of got me into thinking about, there might be a different way than not studying at university, because I never wanted to study. I wasn't good at science and math and all these things, and it just didn't interest me. And I knew that there's people out there that are making a living by literally just living, just doing their thing and chasing their dreams. And you always think it's, you can't do it. And it's once again, one of those victim mindsets from you are implementing these limitations on yourself, just because of the disbelief of other people making it. You're like, oh no, it's not me, they are special, whatever. But in any case, that got me into reading a bit. And then 2020, I went through a gap year, yada yada yada. Basically at the end of the year, I dropped out there, and then that year I read a book a week, and that was everything for me, because that gave me some exposure to different paradigms of people that I wanted to live like. And if I didn't get exposed to those paradigms, I would have never known there's a better way out there. And then literally the only thing is then You were exposed to these paradigms. It's over here. And you are here. You literally just need to get here by constantly doing the inputs.
And I would say reading is big.
You're
Like
very
that
big.
first 6 months is like newbie
Well,
games
that's
for your
learning.
brain.
That's basically just learning.
It's like, but if you do it intentionally though, like I was learning a lot in school, you know, science books and all that, but it wasn't stuff I wanted to learn. That's why I think that we can, I don't want to go into the whole system and all that in this video, but like the system, whatever, the school system forces you to learn, and you can't teach someone to learn through force. You need to learn through inspiration. So when you actually want to pick up a book and you want to read that, I was reading like 2-3 hours a day, you know, every single night. And that's like newbie gains for your brain. Your brain start to, like, in the gym, that first 6 months is like, you just blow up. Like I remember in school, it was like vacation, and I was extremely skinny. I was 58 kilograms. And then I came back 73. So I was like a completely new person. I picked up 15 kilograms in like 4 months. So that was newbie gains for my physical.
And did you get any ticks?
Yeah.
Still no ticks, bro.
Anyway, yeah, that doesn't work. But the books is like newbie gains for your brain. It just expands so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think reading is that's a very good point. I firmly believe that learning is one of the most important things that you can do in life, you know? I mean, back in the day when there was, when philosophers were big, like let's say Marcus Aurelius, Socrates, Plato, in their era, there wasn't things like science, math, like all these language, whatever. It was literally all fell under philosophy. And that's why this podcast is called The School of Athens, because that's where most of them came from. And Athens is the embodiment of discourse between beliefs, you know, and ideas and paradigms. And you can't live a different life that is different to yours, that might be better, if you don't know that type of life exists in the first place. And you can only get access to that by studying, by learning, by reading, listening to podcasts,
exposing yourself to new information.
Like, we are really just normal dudes that just controlled the inputs of their life for the past 3 years, and this is the byproduct of that. You know, I didn't go and study any health stuff, or I didn't go and get a BCom in business. Almost did, but then luckily he got a podcast of Alex Hormozy or whatever his situation was, and he just controlled the inputs, make sure that the inputs that he was getting was equal to where he was wanting to go, which was a successful businessman. So all the inputs was Alex Hormozy, Charlie Morgan, all these guys, Imon Gatti in the beginning. And then, that basically just conformed. Inputs came in, changed his beliefs, and then he had to detach and release some ego by detaching from self-limiting beliefs, because that's probably the biggest thing. And we can get into that as well. That's probably the biggest thing that's holding you back from achieving your goals and your success, is literally the self-belief that you can't do it. And
the funny thing is, I would say I never had like any doubt. Like zero.
But that's crazy though. Like, what?
I also put out a tweet the other day, like, you know, outwork your self-doubt is BS, because I had never had any doubt. So I always knew from the start that I would quote unquote make it. Make it is obviously a very weird term, but like when you think you've made it, you kind of stop working. So I think I said it in the previous one as well. You have to think about, you already made it. Okay. So think of that paradigm of you already made it. So you'll make the decisions that will obviously from the person who's already made it, if that makes sense. So you already made it, so you make the decisions, and that decisions will lead to the actions and the results, right? But with that, you also have to, where did I go with this? But anyway, like just think of that paradigm, and you will obviously take the necessary actions to get to where you're going to get to.
Yeah. And I also think if you don't feel or think exactly the same as me and Andro, because we also differ a lot. Like, for example, he's just said now he didn't have any self-doubt. I still struggle with self-doubt, you know? So I think that's something that you have to work through, and everyone has their own battle to go through. So, and everyone is on different stages. But I think self-awareness is probably the most important journey and relationship that you need to dive into as soon as possible, because if you can become self-aware of how you operate, what are you good at, what are you bad at, you are able to then create a life that you are naturally good at doing that thing, and then you enjoy it maybe even as well. If you know what you enjoy and you're good at it naturally, ideally you should probably find a way out to make a living around that, you know? Because like Andro also said in the previous one, you don't want to get to the end of your life and realize you got good at the wrong thing. So I also think that's very important. Self-realization, understand yourself and how you operate, the things you like to do, things you're good at, things you're bad at, and then sort of try and create a life around that. Because I think a very good point here is, for example, I am naturally a bit more artistic, and I'm good at taking photos. Like I just see those angles naturally. So I'm naturally good at it. I enjoy doing it. So it's also a passion of mine. And now I'm making a living from that as well currently, so the good thing about that is I'm naturally able to get more output from less input than other people. I'm willing to put in more input because I enjoy it. Then the output is going to be so much better. It's going to be easy for me to put in the work to get an output. And if you need to identify something like that in your life and try and make a living through that, because that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, one of the best advice is know thyself, right? I think Marcus Aurelius probably said that.
Yeah, it must be. Socrates, someone.
Know thyself. And the way you do that is obviously through introspection, journaling, meditating, knowing yourself, and also taking personality tests. That's very, very big. People say, oh, I know myself. Like, that's like thinking, oh, I know myself. I know what to do. Like, no, you don't at all. Like, you don't know at all. Like, people think that they do, but it's probably the biggest flaw in most people's that they think they do, and that obviously creates a barrier.
Also, a lot of people, especially a lot of successful people, say trust your gut, your intuition, and I 100% agree with that. But if your intuition and gut is unhealthy, your intuition is going to tell you to eat pizza and Oreos, bro. Like, you need to first detox, get healthy, and really try and understand yourself. And obviously that's a lifelong, like, you'll never just understand yourself. But people say you need to trust your intuition, your gut. It's like, if you are constantly poisoning yourself by, for example, eating unhealthy food, your brain is going to crave that unhealthy food. So it's your gut that's talking to you, but your gut is unhealthy. So you first need to detox yourself. And how do you do that? You literally go and try and analyze, because this is something I 100% I did this. I went through all the beliefs I had in my life, and I analyzed them one for one. Like, why do I believe this? Where does this belief come from? And does this belief benefit me or not? If it doesn't benefit me, I don't believe it. And this is a good point. Actually, I learned this from Solbra. So he actually said that it's more important to believe the things that are useful than the things that are said to be true. Because the things that are said to be true is usually either an opinion of someone else that might just change with time, or it might be disproven or whatever. There's not really a way to an extent, how should I say that? To back what they are saying, not always. So I would say it's much better to just believe what is useful. For example, depression is a real thing, fair enough. I don't believe in it. I don't identify with it because it's not useful. It doesn't help me. So do I feel depressed sometimes? Yes, I do. Obviously, everyone does. But now I'm in a state where I can operate out of that's like, okay, I am not a depressive person. So these are just emotions that I'm feeling right now. If you were identifying with depression, then your entire body would be like, oh, I'm depressed. Oh, yeah, that's why I'm feeling like this. I just feel like this. And then you're reinforcing that negative thing. So there's no point in believing that. So as a Christian as well, if you go and look at also just like, let's say for example, you get sick or whatever, you literally pray, like you basically tell God to just take the sickness away. Like, you don't identify with this because there's no, like, I don't get sick, and even if I do get sick, which I do get sick sometimes, I just don't identify with that, and then my body heals itself
very quickly as well.
Yeah, like, I mean, did you agree with that?
Yeah, like I barely get sick as well. Like when my mother would always say, oh, you sound sick. I'm like, no, I'm not sick. I'm not sick. So like, even when my nose is like, I'm blowing my nose, and like, I just don't identify with that at all. And like in 2 days, I'm good. Yeah. I operate as if I'm still healthy. And maybe that's also, in a sense, you need to also, know yourself. It's very important. Like, you need to know when you are extremely sick, like you should probably not go to the gym because you can ruin your heart muscles, right? But if it's just like a cold or anything like that, or your nose, like just operate as normal. Then over time, you will, your recovery process will be way quicker. Some people take a week, 10 days. I take like 2 days because I just don't identify with like that problem per se.
I think it's important to not be ignorant to like the actual facts.
I know it. But
like, like I agree with you. So for example, I would say that, so I don't want to butcher this, so I'm just going to read this quickly. I actually got this from Coach Bra on a podcast he had with, these Coach names Bra. Are crazy if you don't know them, but go look at Soul Bra and Coach Bra. I get most of my information from them. But anyways, he said on a podcast, everything is a byproduct of your own decision making. And even if you let someone else's negative opinion influence you, You unconsciously made a decision to value their opinion higher than your own, therefore making a decision. And so what I want to say about this is that I'm not ignorant to the fact that we don't have control over external factors, things and situations that happen to us, but we have full control over how we react to those situations internally. So by living out of this framework and out of this paradigm, you'll be able to just gain and operate off a place of more control. Because now you are like, okay, I came into a car crash and I lost my finger. Now it's like, okay, you couldn't have, stopped that. It happened to you, but now you can operate off a place from, okay, everything that happens now is because of a decision that I'm making to feel about it that way. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So now instead of being like, okay, I'm depressed, whatever, I lost a finger, it's like, just operate off a place of this was meant to be, this is God's plan for me to lose this finger or whatever. But the idea is to not be ignorant to the fact that, okay, we all get sick, but I'm going to operate off a place of I'm still healthy and I'm going to try and heal myself by my own beliefs. My body gets healed, I don't get sick. My body, so you're not operating off a place of ignorance. You're operating out of a place of healthy delusion.
We all live in our own little delusion, right? So, and I think we can get back to almost where we started. Obviously, we like to go on a bit of a tangent, but just some, practical advice more on when we start and like some things we did in order to accelerate that growth. And I think important thing to remember is what motivates you. And I think a lot of people, they need to kind of hit rock bottom to finally realize like, oh shit, like I kind of need to change. Because in this, day and age we live in, everything is comfortable. Like you are doing well, like you have food, you have a bed, like everything is fine, right? But just think 5 years ahead when you have like your own family, you need to provide for them. I think that motivates me a lot, is thinking like 10 years ahead, like actually to be able to provide for people. Like that's a big issue. Like I also don't want my woman to work, like if she can, whatever, but like I need to provide for everyone. So like schools, like you need to make a lot of money. So one of the biggest motivations for me was not being broke. It's just straightforward. I just did not want to be broke. That was my biggest motivation. I think Alex Mosey also talks about this, like not having the money. Like that's why do you want to make money? Like I want to make a lot of money. Like that was his motivation. So I think it's very important to also realize what motivates you, because you will face a lot of challenges. Like that's just normal. When you go through your journey, like through your hero's journey, the bigger the struggle, the greater the reward. Like the bigger the dragon you need to face, the better the prize. That's just like normal. Like if you're going through challenges, like I even have it on my lock screen. I'll read it to you. So the universe will test you. It's going to see if you have what it takes to actually become the person you need to be. Whenever you encounter difficulties, express gratitude. It's those very difficulties that will forge you into the person you need to become. So like that difficulties literally make you into the person who can achieve your goals. So you need to be grateful for them.
It's exactly it's like what produces the value. It's the difficulty to attain it that gives it the value, If everyone had a six-pack, or the scarcity. If everyone had a six-pack, no one would have valued that, So and also the value increases with difficulty because then the scarcity increases. So for example, for me, I would say I started off on the journey where I am out of not a good place. Like I basically I chased a bit of external validation from other people. I wanted people to respect me and to be proud and wow, I'm so great now. And because I didn't go and study, so I was keep on comparing myself to other people. I always wanted to be the best person in the room, for whatever reason. It helped me. Like obviously I'm at a good place right now, but if that's the sole thing, like that's obviously not a healthy relationship to have. But in any case, so I operate out of that place. And when I didn't go to university, I felt like I had to prove to people, that I can do this on my own and whatever. And the biggest thing for me was to continue believing in myself in that time frame, because I didn't really have anything to show for it, So I was still operating out of a place of I'm going to be super successful without having literally any results to show for it. And all my other friends are still studying or still having, or chasing their dreams or whatever. And I was keeping comparing myself to them. And, anyway, so I basically started off by trying to get some external validation. And during the process, I actually learned to value my own validation more than other people. And what's good about that is also combined with dopamine, like controlling where you get your dopamine from. Like, there was a time where I didn't really play any games, didn't watch any Netflix. I literally just worked. And so what happened is that my brain actually started getting dopamine from achieving goals Going to the gym was just as good for me now as playing games. That sounds crazy to someone who's playing games now, but I promise you, if you don't play games for 3 months, your body needs to get its dopamine from someplace. So it's going to get it from the best activity you did during that day. And me and my girlfriend were doing long distance for 2 years before she came back. And so that was a time frame that I was very alone. So
it's like a monk mode phase.
Yeah. But it was like a forceful monk mode, you know? Yeah. And I stopped drinking. I stopped like smoking, whatever I wanted to smoke. Like I stopped everything. And that forced me to not go out, not to see people. I was just on my own. So I was a bit depressed or whatever. But I got really good, insane results because it was fun for me to work and get more results. And I would say that is probably the best advice I can give someone that wants to change their life, is to try and change where you are receiving your dopamine from, because everyone knows, enjoy the process, enjoy, working hard or whatever. Yeah, but it's difficult if you are getting all your enjoyment from playing games. It's obviously better to play games in the short term. But if you can change the dopamine from games to hitting the gym, and you only do that by detoxing it, don't play games for 3 months, and then that will be the result. That will be extremely easy for you to then put in the actual work.
I think monk mode is also just a phase. Like you shouldn't do that. I don't think you should do that forever.
What did
I think
Serge Katari say on the beach?
Oh, he does like sprints. That's a monk mode in and of its own. Like maybe it's just 2 months of monk mode, and then like a month or like a week of just fun, basically. But I would like to take more of it's a completely different approach. More like obviously, the monk mode at the start is very important because you need to drastically change things. Like you are just out of whack completely, okay? So like for 6 months, I had like a monk mode. I wasted 1 minute. I remember that. I wasted 1 minute. Well, like 1 minute on Instagram. I literally remember it. So like I was completely dedicated. I was doing trading at the time. I thought I was becoming like a Forex trader or something. And then, Iman actually posted on his story like, yo, I needed an editor. And then this was at the time when he had like 80k followers or something. I obviously filled in the Google form. And the funny thing is, when I hopped on that Zoom call, it was with the content manager. So Spencer, right, not Iman. My laptop was so garbage, like it didn't have a microphone. So like it was so bad. I was just sitting on the call talking with him and like no audio was coming through. So that was the thing that was literally going to change my life. And my camera was so bad, or my laptop was so bad. So the next one, I just hopped on my phone and I luckily got that. But like for 6 months, it was just full on monk mode. Like literally every single minute of my day was like calculated. And I think for that 6 months, you'll grow extremely fast. But from there, you can take your foot off the gas a little bit, still work hard, but, be more holistic. Because like, when you're young, like, there's some things you can only do in your 20s. Working hard is very important. I think Charlie Morgan also had this quote, which is very good. Like, don't sacrifice your youth to make money, because you have a lifetime to make money and only a while to be a child. So like, there's some things you can only do in your 20s. So you should have fun in your 20s, but also work extremely hard. I think because you have a lot of energy. Like I have so much energy. I can work hard and play hard, without the monk mode stuff.
I think that's a good point. I think there's a couple of things I want to add to that. I think I would not change anything of my journey. I had to do a lot of intense things, or I had to go really, I had to be extreme. I had to be very extreme on the work end, and I did lose a couple of friends. I did miss out on a lot of things, but now I'm at a point in my life where the rest of my life is going to be much easier for me, and I'm more, I understand where I'm heading to. And that is much more valuable to me than any party I missed, or potentially a good time, whatever that I missed, to be now in a place where I am operating out of a place of purposefulness, And I think that's something that Andro and I actually, I realize that now is something we relate is, forcefully I was forced into that position because my girlfriend was away and I didn't want to feel bad, and I felt bad when I was thinking of her, and I was thinking of her when I was drinking. So I just didn't party. That was basically just what happened. And if I didn't party and drink, I was like, I have so much time. What am I going to do? And I was like, okay, well, I want to go visit her. So I'm going to make more money to buy a plane ticket. And then I just started putting extra hours at work, started studying more to make more money. And one thing led to another. And I basically enjoyed making more money. And, Yeah, so I think it's important to be intense and extreme in like the first 3 to 6 months to really change that life for you, to really get out of the rut of and realize you're not a kid anymore, bro. Like you want to grow up and
like if you're in your 20s, like come on, you should wake up basically.
Yeah, like I think it's good to operate like a kid. You obviously need to live in the moment.
I have this tattoo, the DreamWorks tattoo. You still need to keep your childlike curiosity.
Yes, but you need to adopt your responsibility and bear it. That's what Jordan Peterson says. You need to pick up your cross and bear it, and pick up the heaviest cross you possibly can. The more responsibility you can bear, the less your family, your friends, and your loved ones will bear, and you will just feel so much better. Like if you are depressed and you feel purposeless, I promise you, set a goal and make it a big goal and work towards it for 6 months and tell me how you feel after that. I promise you, with the added responsibility, you will feel a sense of purpose that you've never felt in your life.
Something very cool I like to add with that, like there's always going to be, peace and suffering. All right. So I would rather, as a man, take on that suffering for let's say 5 years. I would take on that suffering so my family can have peace. But if you have peace now in the form of pleasure and just playing and just, messing around, then your family is going to suffer.
That's
either way, it's going to be suffering. I would rather take that suffering because I know as a man, suffering builds you up. That's actually what makes you someone worth of value.
Yeah.
All right. So then I can have peace for like 80 years, 60 years, whatever. So it's always a trade-off. Like it's always going to be there. The suffering's always going to be there because you can't have something good without suffering, right? So I would rather take that on myself so I can just live a peaceful life with my family and basically now.
I agree with that. Mike Tyson actually said this to, who did he say this to? It was like a fighter before like one of his fights, boxing fight. Oh, Ngannou. What's the guy's name?
Sure.
Anyways, so
I don't watch fighting.
Yeah, so he basically just said, if you're favored by God, you're favored by the devil. And that's very like yin yang, hot, warm,
duality.
Rich. Yeah, it's duality of life. If you are praying for God to make you a stronger man, to you want to be a better person, and then you get these friction and stuff that's happening to you, it's like that's what you're praying for, bro.
It's like the difficulties. Yeah. It's like that forges you to become the person you need to become.
Exactly. You can't have a six-pack without breaking it down, going through that suffering. Okay, fair enough. Some people have genetics and that's something you can't control. But the point is that you need to go through friction. You need to go through difficulty to get to the other side and be better, And
what's that? A diamond? I don't know what's going on with my voice. Like what's going on? A diamond is just a coal that did under pressure. Like, maybe you're a coal right now. Like all you need is some pressure and you can become a diamond. Like
fair enough.
It's very difficult. I say this a lot because most people need to be reminded more than taught. But like that struggle is necessary. Like that is the thing. That is like the obstacle is the way. I haven't read that book, but like that makes sense. Like that makes sense. Like that is the way. That is it.
2 points that we want to make. First of all, by the book you just talked about, the obstacle is the way. So Ryan Holiday is the author of that book. He has a couple of books that he has written. All of the books that he has written is based off of all of the Stoic philosophers. So just do yourself a favor. Just read philosophy, bro. Like go through Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. Go through Epictetus.
Another good one is Seneca, the Shortness of Life. That's also good.
Read those philosophers because the books you want to read and you want to start off reading is the books that have been here for years. Like don't read the books that just came out now. Like fair enough, it might be good, but you don't know how good it is until like 50 years later. Like how many people are still reading it, Like Marcus Aurelius' book has been written a couple thousand, like 100 years ago.
People still recommend it.
People still read it today. Like that is crazy. So those books are obviously that they have stood the test of time, so start with those. Secondly, I think the reason why I think it's very important for every young man especially to adopt as much responsibility as possible, as early as possible, and to try and figure out your future is because you have nothing to lose between 18 and let's say 24. So this is a time that you need to try and play cricket like, I don't know, AB de Villiers, or try and play like professional rugby, boxing, try and become a YouTuber, whatever your dream, like crazy dream is, like that's a time we need to pursue that. Because after 24, you're probably going to want to get married and then you're going to have a wife to provide for. And then you're going to probably want to get kids. You're going to have to provide for those kids. You have added responsibility now that you can't take risks. So it makes it more difficult to chase your dream. And I promise you, the voice in your head that's saying, oh, I want to be a YouTuber, or I want to, be a bodybuilder, whatever, that voice is never going to go away until you achieve it. And the only thing that happens with you getting older is that the ability for you to take that risk to try and achieve that goal is going to be less and less and less. It's going to be so much more difficult. So while you're 18 to 24, you have the most energy, nothing to lose. You have everything to gain in the world. Even if you lose everything, you gain experience. Chase your goal, your dreams, bro. This is the best time to do it.
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to
lose. Everything
like,
to gain.
What do you think is the balance between that? Because obviously we went extreme in this. We didn't go to a lot of party stuff at university, and obviously we went to Greece 2 weeks ago. So I think
we're going to Thailand.
And then Bali. So obviously we are tapping into some of the rewards now, but that's something that we're tapping into the gratitude now. But we did a lot of delayed gratification for such a long time. What do you think is a balance between that? If you had to be 18 again, would you try and go to a couple more parties, or would you still try and go extreme to be able to be where you are now?
What do I say? It wasn't that long ago, 2022. That's 2.5 years ago. So 2 years of your life to sacrifice that, even if it's extreme, totally 2 years to live 80 years. I mean, that's the best trade-off you can ever think of. That's the ultimate Alex Hormozi no-brainer offer. Why is some people not doing it? I don't know. I don't know the reason why.
I think people underestimate how much extra work you can do in 2 years by not going to parties, stop smoking and drinking, and don't surround yourself with people that bringing you down. People don't, because people say, in 2 years you went from nothing to in Greece. What do you mean? That's not possible. It's bro, you go do that for 2 years. Don't do any of that. Actually work over the weekends. You will put hours and hours of extra work in. And above that, you will learn how to work smarter and to work with more purpose. And when you start, because it's, once again, we're coming back to the lonely chapter of, you don't fit into the people that you are around right now, but you don't have the results to get into fit into a new group of people. So you're somewhere in the middle where you're just alone and I was alone for quite a long time. Always a girlfriend was away, so I was really alone. And that is the most difficult time frame, because then you tend to just go back to what you knew, because
it's
too
comfortable
scary
and familiar.
Yeah, and it's too scary. Where am I going? And I don't even have friends, and I'm working and I'm all alone, and no one is even inviting me to parties anymore, because I'm anyways going to say I'm not going to go. So then no one invites you anyways, and then...
But then you're sad that you're not invited.
Yeah, and then, but it's your own fault. And so it's so you're sad, but you can't justify you being sad because it was your own choice. So now you're even more invested in the journey, because if you get after 2 years and you still don't have any success to show for it, it's then it's a bit sad, then you just wrote off your youngest years for no results. And I still believe that's better than not doing it, because it's not about the results, it's about the person that you become while you achieve, chase these results. I'm 100% the man because I am today, because of me intensely going through all of those, friction and things that was trying to, hold me back or whatever. And I would not change a single thing. I would 100% do it all over again.
And what was the question you asked? What's the balance?
What would you, if you had to go back, what would you say is the balance between, delayed gratification and tapping into that, especially in the first 2 years? Not now. I'm talking about you're just starting off now. You matric 18 years old. You had to start between 18 and 20 years old. What would you do? Would you tap into a bit more partying, or would you just 100%?
The funny thing is I wasn't that big into drinking or that, because I was very into the gym. So, in health and stuff not health necessarily, but going to the gym, a byproduct of that is, a more healthier lifestyle. So I, would obviously not change much, because I'm pretty happy where I am now. But, I think it's very important to go extreme at the start, because you need to drastically change things. But once you have some momentum, that's when you can start to do not instant gratification activities, but more maybe party here, go on a date here, do more stuff that isn't necessarily 100% work. But that first 2 years, I would just say balls to the wall, completely just monk mode. Because I still went out every second weekend. I think I went out for 2 hours with my friends. So I think that's still fine. If I went 100%, like I think I would have gone crazy because you need some social outlet. Because I was just like building up all this anxiety and all this stress and all that. I need like some outlet, even if it was just, you know, at the party, like I couldn't really chat about anything. Like, yo, I'm building this business. They're like, okay, so next topic. Like no one really cares, and no one's really. There's also maybe some envy as well, like a lot of that stuff. So you can't really chat about it. It's just, you know, sitting there and almost deloading. So yeah, I think still extreme, but every 2 weeks, every 1 week, just go out a bit. That's also fine.
I truly, like, I don't know if I said this a lot, or if I said this previously in a different podcast, but I think community is one of the most important.
The right community, though.
Yeah. But okay, how do I want to say this? I think community is one of the best things that you need to invest in, you know, because it's your reality is created by the collective beliefs of the people around you. So let that sink in for a second. The beliefs that the people around you have adopted will create your reality, because that's what you will tend to believe, and that's the only thing that you will see. So if you want to be successful, you want to be, you know, look good or whatever, make more money, be around people that make more money. And then I promise you, after a year, you will make more money. That's just how it is.
And also it becomes easier as well. Like the default path is the one of hard work and success. Like that's the easier route. Like if you're surrounded by these people, it's like it's harder to lose. It's literally harder to slip up and lose and fail because you're surrounded by winners. So it's like when you're starting out, like your default path is, you know, maybe losing or not winning. Let's just say that. But when you surround yourself with people who are actually winning, that's the default mode. That's like your default state.
I agree with that, yeah. And I think that's why community is 100% the biggest thing you can do, because for me as well, is you can learn everything on your own if you first of all have the discipline, which a lot of people don't even have. So like maybe you can't even learn everything on your own, you know, because you don't have discipline. But let's say, for example, you do have discipline. You can technically learn everything on your own, but why would you not just exchange money to purchase someone's course or get in a community that just that just helps you study everything so much faster? So for example, let's say for me that's extremely into health, I've bought I joined Soul Bros community. I learned a lot in that. I could have learned everything on my own, but instead I willingly gave him money and he saved me 3-4 months or whatever, because he just already went and did all the studying for me, and he's just presenting it to me in a very good collective manner. And I'm 100% happy to exchange my money for the time he exchanged to get the information in the first place. Now he's presenting it to me. And so, for example, when we went to Greece, that was the first time in a very long time that I felt, okay, this sounds, I don't even know if this sounds weird, but like I found like understood, you know, it's like these friends that you can actually talk to, you know, it's like that they can relate to, like, and you can relate to their problems, they can relate to your problems. And it felt like a community. It felt like back when I was 16 in high school, talking about games with my friends. Like I felt like that again, except it's completely different people that lives in London and in Dubai, and I'm sitting in Cape Town. The only other person I can really relate to is probably Andro. And like, I think it's very important to have a network of people. If you can grow your network, join communities that are similar interests and everyone talks about the same things, that will become your reality. If you surround yourself with people that go and party, drink, and smoke, and just swear and whatever, like that will become your reality. They'll become normal to you. And then you unconsciously become blind to things that is different to that, you know, because that's your reality. I firmly believe that seed walls are terrible. 100. I try and stay away from it completely. That's my reality I chose to adopt. Other people that don't believe that is 100% completely like, what do you mean seed walls are bad for you? You crazy. Like that's a paradigm they adopted. And that is the byproduct of their environment to a very big extent. Unless you actually go and analyze your beliefs and see if it's beneficial or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also when it comes to courses and mentors and, you know, just learning from people smarter or ahead of you, like you have to realize you are always paying with something, either your time or money. You're always paying. 100% always paying. It's either with money or time, and you pay with the one you value least. All right. And you have to realize money is infinite. There's $3 trillion flowing through the Forex market every single day. Money is absolutely infinite. All right. You can get 1% of that. I don't know how much that is, like 3 billion. I don't know. Close to there. It's still a lot of, it's like infinite. Okay. And time is finite. That's like, there's a very short period of this lifetime that you can experience. All right, maybe let's say 100 years. Okay, if you're very focused on health, maybe 120. I don't know how good the technology is going to get, but you have to realize if you can shorten that time frame to experience your goals. Like let's say your goal is 10K a month, right? $10,000 a month. If you can shorten the time frame, right? And a lot of people say, oh, I can do it on my own. Like, sure, 100%. Like I also said on a call before I invested on the program, like I can 100% do this on my own. But I would rather pay the money to shorten that timeline to success so I can live more years with my success. Does that make sense? So you're actually making more money by investing a lot of money because you invest, it's opportunity cost. If you invest money, you shorten the time, and during that time where you've made this money, you can make more. Where if you didn't invest the money, you would have invested your time and you won't make money.
I agree with that.
So by investing a lot, you make more. You don't lose money, you make more money. That's the thing. A timer on your phone is a man's best friend. Next, second to a dog. All right. Like literally, I use timers so much to block, because if you can manage your time, you will be successful. Like I manage every single minute of my day, literally. So if you can manage that, you will be intentional with what you do during the day, and that will obviously grant you the success you want. And people think, oh, I have a day. But like people think during a day they can accomplish, like they can change the world. But like I know you can 100% relate to this. Once you're done with the day, you're like, what did I accomplish? Like what did I actually do? Because you weren't intentional with your time. That's why I say timers are so important. And that's how I almost built that skill set up.
All right. So I would say here's 3 practical tips that you can do right now that will change your life forever. Number 1 is going on daily walks for at least 30 to 40 minutes outside. You get bonus points if you don't wear a shirt and you're grounded in nature. Secondly, read, educate yourself, control your inputs. You can do that while you walk. So then listen to a podcast, listen to an audiobook, and educate yourself in the niche that you're looking to move to. And number 3 is to eat good quality food. Health doesn't have to be extremely difficult and complex. Eat whole foods, stay away from processed foods, and make sure to get enough protein and drink clean water.
Yeah, so we are, this podcast we created, we obviously it's a very long-term thing, but we're also building, in a year's time, we're building something extremely special. I think it's going to be completely different from what the marketplace is currently doing. So we're working on that on the side. But, with health and, so Quinton is obviously focused on the health side. I'm more focused on the wealth side. So health is like the foundation of everything. If you don't have a solid foundation, you can't do anything. So that's number 1 is the health. And then wealth is like the fuel of your life. You shouldn't see money as like the means to an end. Or you should see money as the means to an end. Money is not the end itself. Like money isn't the goal. It's what you do with that money. That's why money is the fuel to actually live the good life. So that's why we are working on something from the foundation side and also the fuel side, the health and wealth. So when it comes to your wealth, 3 practical tips I can give you is obviously Quinton stole mine, but like reading is super, super important, because what it does, it also subconsciously reprograms your mind. And you can check out our first episode on that, where we talked about the subconscious mind and your paradigms and how that works. You need to think of the person, like I also mentioned, like you already made it. You have to think of that paradigm and you'll take the necessary action. So you need to change your subconscious mind and do that through reading. Reading is a big one. And then with all things, like it's just to take action. Like that's so common advice, but like you just need to, state things and actually do them. So do what you say you're going to do. So if you say something, just 100% do it every single time, because that will build up this belief in yourself that when you say something, it actually gets done. Like I did a challenge, I think it was like 2 years ago on my Instagram, where I said on my story, I'm going to do 500 push-ups. And like, I think it was 10:30 p.m. at night and I finished the 500 and I put it up on my story, because I had this thing where if I say something, I 100% have to do it. And when you say something and you do it, like you know exactly what you need to do. You're just not doing it. So just build up this belief of someone who's actually executing on the things you say on a daily basis.
And I think a lot of things comes down to just mindset, and because, for example, what Andro basically just said doesn't even have to be fully just for wealth. Like that, if you incorporate all those things into health as well, like you'll be good. Like everything comes down to your mindset and what you believe and how your value system and what you stand for. A very powerful power, I would say, is the placebo effect. So no matter what I do, like I previously also said, it's more important to believe in that what is helpful than that what is true. So when you are on a certain diet, or when you start walking outside or hitting the gym or doing things to become healthier, fully 100% believe that whatever you're doing right now is going to increase your health tenfold, so even if I eat a pastry, a chocolate croissant or whatever, I 100% firmly believe that this croissant is anabolic, it's good for me, and it's going to go straight to my biceps, and it's extremely healthy. That's just what I believe. That's what we're talking about when we get sick. Like, we don't get sick, we don't get depression. Like, I firmly believe these things because it's more helpful to do so. And it's no exception when you're making wealth. 100% believe that you can do it, and that you are worthy of making money, that it's okay to stick your hand out and grab whatever you want, as long as it doesn't diminish other people's lives, and you obviously do it in a certain virtuous structure. But I think mindset is 100% extremely important, and I think you should maybe even start there. That's why you both said read, because you don't know about a better life by not knowing it. You don't know what you don't know. So definitely pick up a book and start reading it. And
success is literally 80% mindset. And Tony Robbins said this: success is 80% mindset and 20% strategy. So a lot of people, when they hop on a call with me, they're like, oh, what strategies should I implement? Like, what should I do here? What copy should I use? Like, what system, what automation? Like, all that, it's helpful, but like 80% is mindset. So if you have the right mindset of someone who can think properly, and then you will come up with the unique strategies. So you don't, and even, over time, the strategies also, they become saturated, they're numb to the market, it doesn't work anymore, right? So then you need to come up with new ones. So if someone needs to constantly give you the new strategies, right, the 20%, like, you need to be able to think of someone who can come up with the new strategies, and that's all mindset. That's 80% mindset. So yeah, that's a good one.
That's good. I think just to add on, I just thought about this now. I would say a couple more tips to increase your health, like right now, like very quick, easy stuff that you can do. So Andro and I do intermittent fasting. So basically, digestion is one of the most energy taxing processes in your body. So if your body doesn't digest food, it uses all of that energy for cognitive function. So we do intermittent fasting, and during the time period that we fast, we are doing all of our cognitive high performance focus work. And because you are focusing more, so if you pair that with caffeine and you fasted, you will operate and you will be like a concentrating machine. And in the first meal that I break my fast, I do a high fat, high protein, low carb meal, so that I don't spike my blood sugar, and so that my energy stays consistent, because fat and protein gets digested over a longer time frame than what carbs do. So I would highly recommend doing intermittent fasting. Your first meal that you break your fast, do high protein, high fat, low carb, and then I would usually eat a couple of carbs, especially quick absorbing carbs, before I gym and while I'm gymming. So it'd usually be like some orange juice. I like drinking some unpasteurized milk after my workout. So for example, this is what I was sipping on today. I was drinking some unpasteurized fresh milk from Mistal Farms. Good milk. And then at the end of the day, I would usually eat like a steak or something, and then some extreme, like a lot of carbs as well. And then like the best thing that I've found for myself is to be, and like a lot of people think this is woo-woo, but to be in nature more. Like, I can't stress, like, just if I have a lack of nature, I can just feel myself being less happy, more depressed, more anxious. Like, I do take it a bit extreme, but like every day, in the morning and at night, like when the sun set and sunrise, I stare at the sun to set my circadian rhythms. But like, I'm always grounded in the earth. Like when I'm walking barefoot, and then I'm in the grass. Like I can feel the grass. Like you're an animal at the end of the day. And if you get a lack of nature and your actual raw essence, and like that's where your body actually wants to be, is in nature. You want to be in the ocean. You want to go outside without sunblock after eating a good diet, and then you will feel amazing. Like I just feel so much better and healthier when I was in the sun and in the ocean. And then when you get to work, you just feel great. Like now we're sitting under this fluorescent light, this extremely big blue light is hitting our face. Like this is not fun, you know. When I go outside, I go for a walk, fresh air, I just feel amazing. So highly recommend get outside, go for a walk without a shirt, out shoes, and you'll be healthier 100%. All right, so I want to end off by sharing a quote. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be, and just be one. That's from Marcus Aurelius.
So I don't have a quote. I think that's good enough to wrap it up. I think my one in the beginning. Let's see if I can remember. It's success is harder than it looks, but simpler than it seems. I think it's actually teenoorgestelde. It's the complete opposite actually. It's success is simpler than it seems, but harder than it looks. Something like that. Like you can just go to the beginning of this video and then you'll see that. But anyway.
If you guys enjoyed this episode, give us a like and a subscribe and comment. I'm a YouTuber now, bro.
If you watch to the absolute end, comment the fire emoji.
Yeah, you're a G. If you like really do that, and we'll respond to all the comments. All right, thanks guys.
All right, bye bye.
Thumbnails.